Dear Venerable, dear Dhamma friends, now it's the time to start the Dhamma talk. To start the Dhamma talk, you may all consent with 3 times, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhasse. Tayo me bhikkhave puggala santo samvicchmano lokasmin katame tayo ando ekachakku dvichakku ti. Dear Venerable says, Dhamma friends, for the today's talk, I selected the topic from the Sutta Pitaka, one of the baskets that Buddha has been taught us, and this particular sutta or the discourse, you may find in the Anguttara Nikaya, Tika Nipata, in English it's called the Gradual Saying, the Book of 3. There, the Buddha, out of his omniscient knowledge, he says when he is observing the world at large, he can see 3 kinds of personalities, or 3 categories of people, and he wished to share that knowledge with the audience. Accordingly, he gave an introduction, or monks. In the world, I see 3 types of people. In a figurative way, he says, the first type is called the total blind type. The second type is the type those who have only 1 eye. The second type is those who have 2 eyes. So at the outset we have to understand this is not the physical eye that the Buddha going to teach in this discourse. This is some of the, still further, it's a mental eye. So if we go directly according to this particular discourse, it says, Katamecha Puggalo Ando, out of these 3 types, or monks, what I mean by the blind type. Ida bhikkave ekachasa puggalassa tatarupa chakkunana hoti tatarupa chakkuna anadigatoti anadigatam bhoganna adhigacchaya adhigatam bhoganna patikarayya. This is how you find in the Pali. If I am to translate that into English, it says, there is a kind of a people, those who do not have this eye, therefore they do not know how to earn their earnings and the wealth. Not only that, they do not know how to improve and expand their wealth and their basic earnings, because their eyes are closed, or they have no proper knowledge to earn their wealth as well as the earnings, as well as they do not know how to improve and expand it. This type the Buddha enumerates as the kind of people mentally, or as far as the mind eye is concerned, they are blind people. And it is, I think, obvious in any society, there is a fraction of people, they are not concerned about their earnings and their industrious nature. They are, due to some or the other reason, they are just pestering and they are becoming a cost to the society. The second type, the Buddha enumerated as the people, those who have 1 eye, and there he says, they know how to earn their earnings and the wealth. Not only that, they can expand too, but they are unconcerned or callous towards the way they earn it. Whether they are earning from a justifiable manner or not, they are not much concerned. Some or the other, they earn their earnings and the livings, and they expand it, and whether it is justifiable manner or not, they don't care. And whether it is appreciated by the society at large or not, they don't care. And whether the desirable way or not, they don't care. But anyway, they are better when compared with the early type, that is the blind type, and therefore there is a kind of a thriving they can maintain in the world, and they don't discriminate good and the bad, the just and the unjust, or moral aspects of the earnings, and gross and classic things. But anyway, they are just like people with one eye. And introducing these two, the last category is the one, the Buddha says, those who have both the eyes, they are not only efficient and productive and creative in earning their earnings and the wealth, and not only that, they can improve and expand it, but they are very concerned about whether they are earning it from the justifiable way, desirable way, and morally responsible about their earning, and they are cultured people, refined people, and they maintain their values. So, this is the type, the Buddha says, those who have both the eyes. So when we compare with the physical eye, we know those who are blind, they do not know the world of the people, those who have eyes, and therefore they can't discriminate those who have eyes and those who do not eyes. So therefore, even if they go and ask from the advice, they don't know who is blind and who is not. But the one-eyed person at least can discriminate the society at large. This much of people are blind, this much of people are having eyes, but single-eyed people have a problem. They can't see the depth. They can't see 3D. They only can see a plate. When compared to that, the people, those who have both the eyes, they are better off. They can see the blind, they can see the one-eyed people and two-eyed complete people, and they can see the depth. That is why they are concerned about their earnings and their wealth, whether it is earned by a justifiable way, whether it is earned by a desirable way, whether they are using it in a cultured manner and justifiable manner. So they are very concerned. So when we basically get this categorization, you know, the teaching of the Buddha is very rarely reaching to this, the first type of the people, those who are blind, and they are completely cut off from this kind of a higher kind of teaching. And those who are single-eyed also, they know there is such a thing called higher training and noble kind of teaching, but they are, by their nature of callousness towards this morality, they also will get cut off. But only the people, those who have both the eyes, are endowed, and they are fortunate to see this kind of noble teachings and spiritual part and the religious part of the world. So I think we gather here kind of people, those who have both the eyes, and therefore we are in that sense fortunate and endowed, because we are living, we know how to earn our livings, and not only that, we are aware of the skillful way and unskillful way. We know whether it is earned by a correct or wrong way, and whether it is a refined earnings or very gross kind, or we know the correct and wrong. So we are in that sense lucky and have a lot of opportunities And the teaching of the Buddha is only possible and palatable and digestible for this kind of people. But this particular sutta never give any leading or any kind of a hint. It is just categorizing and that's all. So for me to expand the Dhamma talk, I would like to take this base and try to explore into this situation where whenever we have our both eyes open, whenever we are ready to see the depth, how can we proceed from this stage, this place onward, still with the help of the teaching of the Buddha. So whenever we are better off regarding our basic needs, and we know how to earn them, we know how to expand them, and not only that, we are concerned about the means and the ways we are earning it. This responsibility is the ethical way we call the ethically sound and morally sound method. We are responsible about, or we are morally responsible about our earnings. So when that happens only, we get a certain amount of, or enough amount of mental confidence to look into, to reach into the spirituality and the religious aspects. Whenever that happens, this morality has to join with, go in hand with the wisdom. The wisdom part is not yet awakened, not yet initiated, but the potential is there. So we, if we consider we have both eyes, and then onward we must understand we are in such a in-out situation. How can we develop our wisdom out of this given situation? So in that sense, the morality versus the wisdom, there are some reciprocal relationships. The Buddha make a point, only those who are already in the morality, a moral responsibility, should have already developed wisdom. Otherwise, there is no tendency for one to be morally responsible regarding their earnings. And that wisdom we have already with us. That is why without the help of another person, we take care about our earnings to be in the moral side. We have the moral shame and the moral fear and concern about our earnings, and desirability and undesirability we are concerned. So therefore we have enough ground to understand we have the potential. So this moral responsibility is not came out by an accident. It has its own due causes. According to the Buddhist teaching, it is due to our perfections, our good karmic forces of the last life, or that potential. That is why we have already become concerned about this moral shame and the moral fear. Sometimes it is called the healthy shame and the healthy fear. That is why we are happy with just earning. We are concerned about its desirability, its efficiency, its justifiability. So, taking this opportunity, if we are to introduce the wisdom in an effective way from this base, I would like to suggest the relationship between the mindfulness and this moral shame and the moral fear. In Pali it is called hiri and otappa, that is the moral responsibility, and Buddha himself is showing only those who have capacity and initiation on the mindfulness and the clear comprehension can have a feeling on this moral shame and the fear. And whenever you have the base of moral shame and the moral fear, it's a very conducive condition or very fertile ground for you to be mindful or for you to be diligent and develop the clear comprehension. Therefore, in yet another particular sutta, the Buddha says, those who have no any mindfulness and the clear comprehension, under such circumstances, these people have no base or the ground to develop the moral shame and the moral fear. And opposite of that, the Buddha says, whenever you have mindfulness and the clear comprehension, with that base only, the moral shame and the moral fear come into being. So therefore, so if we feel we are kind of people come under the category of having both the eyes, we have to accept, we have the complete potential, we have the complete opportunity to explore the chance to develop the mindfulness and the clear comprehension. So that is that is one of the basic teaching of the Buddha, that this mindfulness and the clear comprehension is intrinsic characteristic of the human being when compared with the other realms. The animals and others, they are completely controlled and limited by their instinct, but the human beings, of course, with those who are with both the eyes, have this capacity, the potential to go further, advance further, refine oneself further, culture further, along the two lines of mindfulness and the clear comprehension. Because if we are not making use this chance, the opportunity, we are not discriminating ourselves from the other lowly being. So, taken this opportunity, it's a good invitation, someone to develop this mindfulness and the clear comprehension, knowing and assuring that we have already developed our moral shame and the moral fear. That means kind of a moral responsibility, and it indicates we have the potential. So now, if we accept that we have the potential and we are already in the certain establishment of the moral shame and the moral fear, the Buddha says this is the proximate cause, the immediate reason for someone to restrain their own faculties, someone to discipline their own faculties. If you do not have any moral shame and the moral fear, such a people will be unruly, difficult to control, difficult to discipline, even by their own will, their own motivation. So only once you establish this moral shame and the moral fear, you create an opportunity to restrain your faculties, discipline your verbal and physical deeds, so that you will be more and more cultured, you will be slowly uplifted, and therefore, knowing that you have the basics, you have to think about, you have to restrain yourself and discipline yourself to restrain your faculties, and these are working in the chain actions. Whenever you are developing this kind of a discipline and restraining of the faculties like the verbal and physical deeds, then only you will be morally sound. That is, in Buddhist teaching we call our sila or moral restrainment will be well founded. So this is the initial point. We have to see whether you are fully cultured or not, whether you are taken the higher grade of training or not. And then once you develop this kind of moral restrainment and moral control, definitely you will be just like fallen into a river, you will be taken further and further into the higher kind of training, and even without any kind of further higher training, just by establishing your moral precepts and physical, verbal misdeeds, you are bound to get 4 prominent results, not after the death, but in this very life. So those who have the morality, or moral restrainment, the Buddha says they never have the habit of self-curse. If you do not have any kind of morality, if you do not have any kind of restrainment of your faculties, if you do not have any kind of moral shame and the moral fear, invariably you are cursing yourself, you are not happy with yourself, and ultimately it is leading to kind of a frustration, kind of a negative feeling and the tension. So therefore, whenever you are knowing, come to know, day by day you are improving towards sila or moral restrainment, slowly the self-curse will be reduced. So therefore, you will not be developing fear towards your old age, towards your sicknesses, and the death will be prepared because you know your life is moral. You are not giving any fear to the outsiders, and you are rather giving non-fear, and therefore you have no fear coming from the world also. So that is how your self-curse reduces. The second thing is that blame from the other people. This is also something always disturbing us, whether we are being categorized as good people or bad people. So if we have that doubt, always we have our underestimation. So whenever you start this moral training, you are going to slowly get rid of this criticism from the outside world. The third one is, even you can hide your self-curse, even you can evade the external criticisms. Whenever you keep on breaking the rules and the moral rules, one day you will get caught into the civil law and you will be punished according to the penal code. And there are also fear for the immoral people. So if you are not just be happy to have a just person with both the eyes, but instead if you develop this moral restrainment and restraining of your faculties, then only you can come to know day by day your fear to this kind of a penal code also slowly reducing. And at the end, after the death, if you have any idea about going to the world or purgatory or hell or whatever may be, for a moral person, it is not available. So that is how slowly you can get rid of this frustration, tension, and all the kind. And without you being moral, without you are considerate about the social values, very difficult to get rid of this kind of a mental situation. So the Buddha is going to give, even without any meditation, even without any concentration meditation or insight meditation, if you are assuring yourself to be a moral person, then there kind of a relief happen. And the explanation is, the moral restrainment means you are not committing physical misdeeds and the verbal misdeeds. According to the Buddhist way, the physical misdeeds and the verbal misdeeds are concrete and they are enumerated in a very clear manner. The killing, stealing and sexual misconduct are considered as the physical misdeeds, and lying, frivolous talks, slandering and harsh words are considered as verbal misdeeds. So you can clearly analyze, whenever you are not restraining yourself from killing others, that means you are not concerned about others' life, and therefore you are giving a fear to other beings. In return, what you are going to get is the fear. So if you are assuring others not to give the fear, by restraining yourself, giving a value for the morality and not to kill, definitely you feel safe. You feel out of fear, or slowly your fear will be fading off. And the stealing also, you are creating so much of a unrest in the society, and the fear and uncertainty. So if you restrain yourself not to commit that kind of thing, in return what you get is, in Pali it's called abhaya, the opposite of the bhaya, that's the opposite of the fear, and you feel wherever you go as if you are among your relatives, as if among your friends. So you don't feel cornered, you don't feel outcasted because you don't give any fear, so therefore in return you also feel this brotherliness and the friendliness. And same way, if you are not doing any adultery or sexual misconduct, you are respect the modesty of the others, in return you also feel the membership wherever you go. Exactly in the verbal deeds, if you are not lying, if you are not spending time on these frivolous talks and the harsh words and the rest, you respect the others' psychologies and others' peace of mind, and therefore in return you get it. So therefore, if you wish your own well-being, personal well-being, you can't expect it from the outside only, unless otherwise you sacrifice or you restrain yourself, and your restrainment also must be in the systematic way. And for that you must have the basic qualifications, like that having 2 eyes, and that itself is not enough. Upon that, knowing that you have the potential, you have to develop the moral shame and the fear, moral shame and the moral fear, healthy shame and the healthy fear, and you have to advance towards the restrainment of the faculties, and furthering there only you can achieve this complete moral restrainment, not to conduct physical and verbal misdeeds, and there you are bound to get this kind of a peace of mind. To the extent you invest this restraint. And under such circumstances only, of course, you become qualified to go further into the meditation or restrainment or culturing of the mind. Because one individual, one entity means not only the physical verbal, there is yet another part that is called the mental. The moral restrainment never address to the mental culture. It is addressing only to the physical and verbal, and it will assure you, you will not have the self-criticism, criticism on the outside, and the fear of the penal code or external law, and any fear about the after death. So, the moral restrainment has its own limitations and its own system. And once you come up to the moral restrainment, still you have the opportunity to going further to the mental culture. That is in Buddhist jargon we call bhavana. So we are now in a meditation center, and you are visiting frequently these kind of places, and you know the way, the lifestyle, and everything is somewhat different in these centers, because these centers are constructed to create the conducive conditions for the meditation to happen. That meditation is not basically on the moral restrainment or physical and verbal. The people are accepting, those who are visiting these places already should have certain amount of physical and verbal misdeeds and cultured people. Upon that only meditation is also concentration meditation and insight meditation by folk way you can do. And there you take this your moral restrainment as the basic necessity or preliminaries. Upon that only you can look at and you can restrain, you can go a little deep into the third aspect known as the mental faculty. So in the West, now many people are concerned about this meditation, and many consider the Buddhism more related with the meditation, and therefore They have started meditation centers, and something like Bhante, they have already taken robes, and they are practicing the way of Buddhist way. But as far as the laity is concerned, when compared to the Asiatic countries, as far as meditation is concerned, they are more directly going into the meditation, and proportionately most of the Buddhists in the West are meditators. But when you come to the East, they are less and less proportion meditate. Instead they do generosity and moral restrainment, and they are still waiting and hesitating to go into meditation. So this subject, it happened me to discuss with Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi when I go to America, and I think you know the person that I am referring. He is one of the prominent feature. The American person came to Sri Lanka and became a monk, and now he has gone back and is doing a good job there, teaching for the Buddhist teaching. And he is under the opinion, now the West has to reconsider or think again about this meditation, because they have done fair amount of experimenting with the meditation, but it is not much of a success because their moral backing and the cultural backing is not strong enough. They are not giving much of the emphasis on this generosity and dana and the morality as sila. So therefore, directly going into meditation is questionable. So they have to think again. So I am coming from the Asiatic culture, and I am a born Buddhist, even though we are not practicing. And once I come up to my age of 26, 27, one of the Western monks indicated me, even though I claim Buddhist, I never practice. I never do meditation. So it was a challenge for me, but I argued against, and ultimately he gave me the technique of mindfulness, and then onward, somehow or the other, I tried my best to keep the mindfulness, and slowly I found, from 26 to onward, more and more I become mindful, I have more and more sensitivity towards the moral values, ethical values, and generosity, and the feeling of the other psychologies. Earlier, before I taken up this subject of the mindfulness, I was not. I was in the single principle of pleasure principle, entertaining and gratification of my senses. But more and more I become mindful, and now I appreciate people have good moral restraint, the monks as well as the laity, and sympathize other psychologies. So therefore I argued back with the Bhikkhu Bodhi Bhante. In my case, I started meditation, and then only I understand and justify the value of morality and the generosity. But you take the stand, one person should have basically the morality and the generosity, then only the meditation should take place. So then he told, he has written a few articles, ultimately sent it to me, and he says, I am not talking against the meditation, but I am telling, before the meditation or while the meditation happens, each and every meditator has to think about, revise about his or her generosity and sharing with the others and moral conditions, and then only reciprocal development can take place. So, for my understanding, they are reciprocally helping each other. The morality helps your meditation and the wisdom, and on the way back, the wisdom and the meditation, and come back and revise and tighten your belts, tight your nuts and bolts towards the more and more moral situation. And when that happens, progress can take place. So therefore, the teaching is correct, but application of this restraint in the proportionate way, it is a lifelong experiment. My method will not be applicable to yet another person. On principle it is yes. The morality and the wisdom has kind of a reciprocal connection. So one has to always revise it by reading the teaching of the Buddha discourses, and taking part in the discussions and meeting the people, those who are walking along this line, and be honest and humble, and by keeping only the Dhamma, the wheel will turn, Dhamma wheel will be turned. So therefore, whenever you are, if you are at all interested in meditation, you have to see you have the basic qualifications, and once the qualifications are there, if you are practicing towards the concentration meditation or vipassana meditation, again you have to appreciate, you have to eyes. That means you can see the moral values and you are already in it. And don't underestimate it. Again and again you have to rebrush it. And then taking the opportunity and understanding your endowment, your assets, you have to go deep and deep into the mindfulness or meditation. In my jargon, the meditation means mindfulness. So, therefore, I thought by introducing this much to share with you all little bit towards the subject of mindfulness. The mindfulness is one of the core teaching of the Buddha. It is the translation of the word in Pali known as sati. The Pali term sati is translated as mindfulness. Now it has become universal in everywhere. You get the same meaning. If you are to find a synonym in the Pali to the sati, it is appamada, and that has been translated to English as the diligence. So therefore, as a beginner, one can say the mindfulness is equal to diligence, and diligence have some other shades of meaning, the vigilance and heedfulness, mindfulness. The opposite of the diligence is the negligence. In Pali it's called pamada. So whenever you are developing the diligence, whenever you are developing the mindfulness, you must not be negligent. You must not be negligent not to do what you should not do. You must not be negligent to do what you should do. Of course, that is what the Buddha says. Both those who have both the eyes, they know what to do and what not to do. So we have to understand it's a very big endowment we have. We have certain amount of diligence, but to keep up, not to fall into the negligence, and do without negligence, to do what we should do, what we call the do's in the society, and we must take care not to do what we should not do. And being so, mindfulness is to be in the moment. So, be in the present moment and be vigilant and be diligent. You have to follow systematic ways that the Buddha has mentioned. We are in a retreat now in this Bodhijana monastery. Now we are on the 7th day. And in a retreat like this, we introduce this mindfulness in 3 ways. The intensive way, the semi-intensive way, and the extensive way. The intensive way means you sit and meditate and giving up all your activities and try to focus or try to take the maximum time to understand and cultivate the mindfulness and the diligence. The second method, what I introduce as the semi-intensive method, that is the way that we do, that we try to be mindful while walking up and down. It is called walking meditation. The third method to develop the mindfulness is be mindful in your day-to-day activities. The intensive method gives a fairly a shortcut, but it's very expensive because you have to go to a silent place, you have to sit and have a chunk of time to completely dedicate in sitting meditation. And most of beginners find even very difficult to sit and wait in a place for a long time. So therefore, it is a kind of a burden from the beginner's point of view. But when you are practicing walking meditation, you find it's fairly easy to practice, but the intensity of mindfulness is less when compared to sitting. And third aspect is how to be mindful in the day-to-day activities. Without you train in the sitting and walking, very difficult to extend into the extensive method of day-to-day activities. But in the Western countries and in the active people in the Asia also, nowadays giving the basic and main attention to be mindful in the day-to-day activities. And even then, to introduce and to be acquaintance with the mindfulness, you have to have the sitting meditation and walking, and then only you can go to this day-to-day activities in mindfulness. So I would like to take little time to share with you all, if you at all going to get a chance to come to a place like this, and so if you have developed certain amount of discipline to sit in one place, how one can develop mindfulness in sitting posture. You see, we are sitting in front of the statue of the Buddha. This is the way the Buddha gives the silent sermon about how to develop mindfulness in the sitting posture. You see, when he is sitting, his whole base is touching the ground, a triangular shape, and once he kept his hand in such a way, the whole shape is appear like a pyramid shape, and it is well established. So you also have to assume the same. If you wish to have the idealistic, theoretical maximum position, this is the posture. So whenever we think about meditation, this is the mental figure we get. One person sit cross-legged, close eyes, and contemplating. This is somewhat similar with the intensive method. So this whole we use to say meditation mode. You come and see. So if you wish to develop mindfulness, what you also have to do, sitting in a comfortable way. The best is as depicted in the statue, but the people with them have some ailments and the age problem, you can say take a suitable seat and sit comfortably and make yourself symmetrical and relax. Relax your whole muscles and try to experience the relaxed posture, the symmetrical posture. So when you are try to be with this sitting posture with the relaxed and symmetrical way, you are developing kind of a friendship with yourself. Why I am telling like that is, if you are not coming to a place like this and developing mindfulness with intensive way, we hardly have any time in our timetable to be with oneself. We are always distracted, either in the past and the future, or other places or other people. We are simply living on others' eyes. Hardly we live with ourselves. So therefore mindfulness at the outset, you are bringing yourself to your posture yourself and try to be here and now. So the initial stage of the mindfulness is be here and now. To be here, experience this in a pleasant way, you must not entertain any bodily pains or imbalance in the body or any kind of thing. So you make friendliness or acquaintance with yourself. So this very first stage of mindfulness is called be here and now. So you can say, I am here now sitting. So these three indicates the basic definition of the mindfulness. So if you can maintain this thought moment for, we'll say, 3 to 4 minutes, so much so, if the mind is going with the here, the sitting posture, now, this very moment, and with me, without worrying about the people right now. And for that, the Buddha recommends you keep your eyes closed, so mind become for the first time in the world, in your time, introvert, not running out. So when that happens, you feel the difference. You can experience yourself. You can experience just sitting. So when that happens, some people, those who have no moral sound background and familiarity, even the closing eyes will be something strange, and you don't feel comfortable to be with yourself. So you have to train again and again. It is a balanced situation, natural situation to be with oneself. So if you are developing the habit of keeping this for few minutes, for instance, and if you become introvert, if the mindfulness is catching, you may see some settlements. The mind will be settling. The body will be settling. And there are sometimes you may see the natural breathing. That's a good sign. Because mind is not running out with the eye to see something, not running out from the opening of the ear to hear something, not smelling, not tasting, but be here in the comfortable posture, and if the breath going to happen, you can just observe the natural breathing without doing any forced breathing. And naturally you can see the in-breath and out-breath is a very good way to assure your mind is here and now. That means the continuity of the mindfulness. Of course, wandering thoughts, the pain and sounds may come and disturb. It is natural. Don't try to be idealistic, so that not to have thoughts, not to have pain, not to have sounds like. But try to maximize the time with the natural breathing. If you are sharp and if you are keen, you may see that the breathing process metabolically taking and happening in the upper part of your body. So you can forget about the lower part of your body and let it maintain by itself, and just take the attention to the upper part of the body and make it erect so that respiratory tract will not be upset. You just let the breathing take place and observe. This is the fairly calibrated and aligned refinement to say that your mindfulness is fairly steadfast. And if you can see, we'll say 8 to 10 cycles of breathing, or 8 to 10 seconds of breathing, or 8 to 10 minutes of breathing, so much so the settlement will be increasing. The mindfulness will be catching the momentum, acceleration. So more and more you go there and you feel the taste of it, and more the mindfulness increases, that becomes the proximate cause for the concentration to set in. So at the beginning, of course, a lot of difficulties and difficult situation arises, but by practicing again and again, you can test and see how much you can be with yourself, how can you keep the mind with your natural process of breathing without going for forced breathing. And when you observe it like that, sometimes you can be very sharp and very pinpointed, so that within the upper part of the body you can see which is the most prominent rubbing point, so that you can focus your attention in the process of breathing. Scriptural way, it suggests sometimes when you are observant, mindful, and see the process of breathing, you may see the uppermost point of your respiratory tract, that means the end of the nostrils. You can feel the rubbing sensation of the in-breath and out-breath. Some people may find on the top of your upper lip, and if that is happening, that is the highest calibration, highest refinement you can do, so that you can forget about the whole body and focus the attention on that particular point and monitor in-breath and out-breath. That is in the scriptural jargon we call anapanasati. Be mindful on the in-breath and out-breath. Some people may find in the lowermost point of the respiratory tract the diaphragm movements, rising and falling of the abdomen, whatever may be, if you can keep, that is the best making use of your moral life. Of course you can be completely moral and be happy with the advantages of morality, but it is an advancement, it is a kind of a loving kindness to yourself, a well-being of yourself, to Be mindful, because this is the only way you can understand who am I. Otherwise you may live so much of the years of life on the earth, but to the end you don't know who are you, but instead you know what the outside world is. Through the history, geography, physics, chemistry and others. But whenever the attention is taken in, you don't know who are you, who am I. So this is exploration to the spiritual quest of understanding who am I. So whenever you are trying to be mindful with the breathing, not the direct mindfulness going to teach you who am I. Exactly the disturbances going to happen is more directly touch with yourself. That is why when you are practicing, some people may find my mindfulness is often distracted by wandering, daydreaming, fantasizing, thinking. Yet another type will come and say, my problem is with the pain. I can't sit. Whenever I sit, pain is my main distraction. Yet another type come and say, my main distraction is sound. Even the ticking sound of the clock, I can't tolerate. So these things, usually of course you consider as something negative, something bad, dormant, that's something to be get rid of. But if you are choicelessly be aware about the phenomena, slowly you will come to understand, not like the other people, my distraction is basically maybe 70%, 80% on the thoughts. If it is so, you can understand your personality trait. It is part and parcel of you, your second nature. Unless you focus the attention on breathing or meditation, you will never notice, you will never diagnose these kind of things in your life. Or whether you are distracted by pains or sounds and kind of things. So therefore, whenever the distractions happen, don't antagonize with it. Don't react to it. Just try to observe them in the diagnostic way. So therefore, even the meditation is a failure, it's a hint for you to understand some of your personality traits, some of your likings and dislikings. So without meditation, there is no other technique or instrument in the world to recognize yourself. So therefore, mindfulness is just like a mirror. When you go in front of it, you can see your image. That image is not given by someone, it is not an imagination or hallucination. It is truth. And even if it is not the truth, again and again you can do it and verify yourself. But the thing is, in reality, in practical and pragmatic sense, you are not happy whenever you see your real nature. When you have a big image about yourself, but when the reality going to happen, you will get disheartened. That is why the Buddha says, to see your real image, you must have a good moral background. You must have a very healthy mind. Then only, by repetitive application, you can understand whether I like it or not. My mentality is such, I am often irritated by thoughts, often irritated by sound, often irritated by pains, like. So it's a very original kind of understanding. So more and more you practice along this way, slowly you reconfirm the same discovery, same diagnosis. But the thing is, as I mentioned earlier, sitting in one place for 10-15 minutes is a task. Then that is why the Buddha came and recommended the second method of meditating or be mindful in walking meditation. While walking, then if you are adopting to walking meditation, basically the pain problem will be relieved. You don't feel any pain in walking meditation. What you do is, you pay the attention to your lower part of the body. When the right leg is placing on the ground, you try to feel it, just like feeling the in-breath and out-breath, the touch of the ground. Left leg, right leg, left leg, just like the young baby, boy or girl, try to walk without falling down. You try to keep your mindfulness, one leg left to the right, right to the left, without falling down. So you are trying to see how many steps you can walk mindfully without falling down. So you have to be a beginner. You have to develop the beginner's mind, and there you can understand eyes are open and you are walking in the same place, pacing up and down, and there are a little bit of bird sounds and wind movements and everything, but still you develop mindfulness. But the disadvantage in sitting and walking is you have to have separate time or allocated time for that. When you are having a busy life, that will be the most difficult thing. But to get an idea about what does it mean by meditation, what does it mean by personality traits, you have to have this investment. And then, if you know, and if you are developing some kind of skillfulness in maintain the mindfulness in the walking the right leg, left leg, right leg, left leg like, you are opening your sensitivity to the touching sensation. So in the day-to-day, you are not only open to the soles, but even to the palms. Whenever you touch something, whenever you step on something, you try to feel it. And that is how you can extend your mindfulness into day-to-day activities. When I am practicing, my teacher told, don't try to be mindful in the socialized situation, busy states, and when you are doing multitask things. Practice mindfulness in the events where you do it by yourself and where you can little control the speed. And whenever you wish to practice mindfulness in day-to-day activities, do purposefully little slow so that the self-awareness can come to be. And the most important thing you can try is, you can listen to your own sounds. When you are doing something, how much sounds you are emitting. So be listening slowly, mindfully when you are practicing. You can understand all of, in the midst of the busy life, you are meeting yourself. All of a sudden, once in a way, you meet yourself. So if you increase the frequency, more and more, you can practice this mindfulness in day-to-day life also, but it's a very slow, painfully slow. But once introduced, one thing I can assure, never that will be erased from your memory. Mindfulness is such a mental factor, very difficult to introduce. But once introduced, it will never be erased. There onward it is ever accumulative, from the morality or moral training to the wisdom concentration training or the wisdom training. The mindfulness is open way for both of them. So I am not going to deal how to sort it out because it is a somewhat involved thing. So opening the gateway, mindfulness is to the meditative life. So for the last 30-40 years, there are a lot of experiment and a lot of research are taking place. Some people do it with the involved way, how much we can incorporate this mindfulness into the life, definitely for the people, those who have both the eyes. And now the question is whether this mindfulness is limited to Buddhism. So after the conference and everything, one person, of course, having a conference with His Holiness Dalai Lama, he has given a very nice account how to be mindful. And he has written a book, Full Catastrophic Living. And he says, in the events of catastrophic, still you can be mindful. And then he gave, after giving a very lucid and vivid explanation of the mindfulness, he asked His Holiness Dalai Lama, but if this mindfulness is Buddhist. His Holiness Dalai Lama, it is humanistic. It is not Buddhist. So therefore, if you are going to limit it to a cult or group or thing, I think it is not the idea of the Buddha. The Buddha says, only those who have two eyes have this potential. And if they try, it is at the beginning very painfully slow. But it is not your fault. It is the nature. Because our mind is always extrovert. Always seeking for gratification of the sense pleasure. But the mindfulness is something against the grain. It is the attention come back. Therefore, the insight meditation The vipassana is not the insight, but the meaning is you are looking in. All the other worldly knowledges are bringing and dragging you to the outside. So this is the insight. As I mentioned earlier, this is only possible for human and only possible for these endowed people with both the eyes. So therefore, since you all are already coming to monasteries like this, that concern about the moral responsibilities, my humble invitation is, why not try this idea of mindfulness either in the intensive method of sitting in the meditation hall or in walking meditation, and after familiarizing in these two, why not doing the day-to-day activities? If that is the case, we may be taking this opportunity in a very productive way, and I hope this in a faraway country like New Zealand, this monastery, it's a heaven on that. I am coming from Sri Lanka. I find very difficult to get this kind of atmosphere even in Sri Lanka. So therefore, very lucky. I am really thankful, Bante. You were so generous. We lived here for maybe 7 to 8 days. We completely feel homely, and we completely feel among relatives, among friends. So definitely we have something to share with Kiwis and those who are migrated from here, and therefore get a chance and try yourself. And mindfulness is the one of the panacea, a medicine for all the disease, but I can guarantee you no side effects, no after effects. Therefore, any person, we can invite him, come and practice and see. So that is my humble request. I thank you very much for listening, and this is the end of my talk. So I would like to say 3 times, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu.